Oops, what did I do? Gotta go back, wait a second. Oops. We're going to look at the stamp a little closer. Now that's the stamp of Lajos Kossuth, governor of Hungary. We're going to take a look at the detail. And when we look at this detail of this stamp, I'm going to show you the daguerreotype from which that detail was made. So what you're looking at there is a daguerreotype by Southworth and Hawes, quarter plate, that was used to make that stamp. And it's like the transposition from a daguerreotype to a stamp. Adams and Company in San Francisco, the largest express and banking office in the country at that time. 1854, they were very active in the gold rush. Instead of taking money and putting it in your pocket to come home, you could leave the money with them and get a check, and you had a much better chance of getting home. The engraving in the upper center is of interest to me because it's made from this daguerreotype. And that daguerreotype, getting in close, look at these two guys that are here, you can see it's the same daguerreotype. Now, here is the actual daguerreotype from which that was made. A half-plate image of outside of Sacramento in the gold mines. Those are long toms, and those are miners actually mining. This is another gold mine. See, this is a full plate. This is a big size. This one here has a lot of scratches on it. So this is the only daguerreotype in the collection with scratch lines that look like they could have been made with a pantograph. That's a copying device. The whole plate daguerreotype was used to make the woodcut that was printed in the 1852 Gleason's. That was the most popular magazine, weekly magazine in the United States at that time. And here is Gleason's Pictorial Drawing Room Companion, Notions Company Works, California. And that woodcut was made from that scene. My daughter Lynn got it in her mind that she had to send me something for my birthday. So she sent me this wonderful little daguerreotype, which turned out, let me do that again. It's a daguerreotype of a young girl, and it was made into a miniature. They changed the dress to make it white, and they changed the eye on the left-hand side here because her left eye is a little bit off, and they just made her a little bit different. And here she is. In a miniature. Now, these are backing cards. What these are a bunch of cards that are in the back of little 9th plate daguerreotypes, mostly in New England. They were advertisements put on the back. This is a little 9th plate daguerreotype. I'm going to take this image out of its little case and turn it around so you can see what one looks like when it's in the back of the image. So there it is. That's called a backplate. It's a card, a little advertising card. In this particular case, it gives you the prices of daguerreotypes from Bartlett's gallery, all the way from 40 cents up to $5. Lockets included pictures from $3 to $12 of superior quality, and that's what was the ad that was put on the back of both daguerreotypes and ambrotypes. This is one of those cards. This card is called the double camera. Now it looks like a stereo camera, but it was also used commercially for taking two pictures back to back, one after the other, quickly. And it was used by companies that like to put out inexpensive daguerreotypes, and they could put out twice as many with two lenses as they could with one. Now, as I look at this, I see a whole bunch of wheels on it. As a matter of fact, I see 4 wheels. Artistic license was taken when drawing this woodcut from the original daguerreotype. 4 fantasy wheels were added to jazz up the illustration, though the inspiration for them did come from the camera stand, and you'll see that in a minute. But I'll prove to you that those wheels were a figment of the artist's imagination right now. Because here's the actual daguerreotype of the camera. Now, I don't own the camera, but I do own a daguerreotype. The camera does not exist any longer. Daguerreotype of the double camera from life. And what we'll look at here is the daguerreotype itself. And we now see this is the idea where the fantasy wheels came from. It's funny how the artist saw that and he stuck them on the camera. It's a 9th plate daguerreotype, and that's the kind of thing that I like to show.
What is it? What is a 9th plate?
A 9th plate is this size. It's like
2 1/4, 3 1/4.
No, 2 1/4, 3 1/4 is a little bit bigger. This is 1 3/4 by 2 1/4.
Okay.
So it's just about like that. This is a illustration from the front page of an 1845 newspaper called Brother Jonathan, July 4th, 1845. And it's a picture of Henry Clay, and it's a drawing of Henry Clay from a plum daguerreotype. So if I show you that, and then I do this, you'll see the original daguerreotype from which it was made. And then to bring you into it, there's the daguerreotype. Now, connections. Some items enter the collection due to a connection with other images or artifacts that already hold an important place, since they greatly enhance each other's significance. One thing plays off on another. So sometimes you're forced to buy something, not that you really wanted to spend that much, but it enhances something else that you have. I'm sure everybody's had that terrible, terrible problem. This is one of the rarest cases. Case collectors are interesting. Is there anybody here who collects cases? Well, then I won't make fun. But when case collectors meet in the street, it's like stamp collectors. They usually say, do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have the Vision of Ezekiel? Oh, yes. Do you have Washington crossing the Delaware? Oh, of course I do. I have that twice. I have it in brown and I have it in black. So they go on like that because the cases fit into categories. This is a case by F.C. Key. It is the rarest case there is. It's called the Henry Clay case. And there's only 2 known, and it's hardly ever been seen by anybody. And so it was made with a very special hinge so that the case wouldn't break. I don't think there's over 30 of these Key cases in existence of all brands, but the one that's the rarest only is 2 of the Henry Clay. Now, Henry Clay, born in Hanover County, Virginia in 1777, an incredibly important U.S. Senator, 1806, and he was Senator until 1852 when he died. He was there when we made peace with England, the Treaty of Ghent. He was Speaker of the House. He was the Secretary of State. He was involved in crafting the Compromise of 1850, and he died in Washington in 1852. And all of that is on the back of this case. But on the front of this case is the classicalization of Henry Clay. Now, owning that, when a case collector comes up to me and they ask me, do I have this and do I have that, I let them talk for about 3 minutes, and then I say, oh, do you have the Henry Clay? A terrible game to play. But for a very large amount of money, somebody offered me, and I couldn't refuse it, the die from which the case was made. Now, there are only 3 known dies in the United States of cases, and I have the die that made that case. So, and the man knew I had it. So therefore, it took a few good weeks of my salary, but I had to get it. So that's what I'm saying. That's the agony and the ecstasy of having the pair together, and the agony of knowing that you can't say no. On the left is the steel mold from which the case on the right was formed. Now, we're looking at Roots Gallery, 140 Chestnut Street, Philadelphia, and a lovely picture of a young lady. And this is quarter plate daguerreotype, and Root's Gallery was the most famous gallery in Philadelphia. There was another one just as famous named Broadbent. So we're going to turn this around a little bit. We're going to bring it in and show you what the velvet looked like, stamped Root's Gallery, 140 Chestnut Street. But let's go one step further, and let's show you an engraving, a gorgeous lithograph of the front of Root's Gallery at 140. Now that we're looking at that, you can see down here where it says Root right up here, and it's M.A. Root's Gallery, and he also sold paintings and views, etc. He also wrote The Camera and the Pencil, one of the most popular books written in the 1860s. 1862, I think, was his first edition. And he was in Philadelphia. Now this is a young black man by Broadbent, Samuel Broadbent, and you can see Broadbent's stamp in the map, and that I would know even if that wasn't there because that's Broadbent's backdrop. But the reason I show you that is that was the other most popular photographer in Philadelphia. Now, can you imagine? There's Broadbent and Company daguerreotype rooms, you can see that. And, interestingly enough, those two buildings were only separated by two other buildings. And can you imagine the competition that the two most famous photographers in Philadelphia had when their doors are that far apart? So, you know, there's Broadbent on the left and Root on the right. Where do you go? Well, you can't make a mistake with either one because they were both wonderful photographers. And there's the 1856 engraving from which the panorama of Philadelphia is shown. And now the house tour. 40 years of collecting Photographica in a 227-year-old house. That may be 228 now. Living with a collection and incorporating items of interest into the house as decorating features and points of interest. How many people here have been to my house? Well, I know my son's been to my house. Okay, so most of you haven't. All right. I live in the Beckwith house. Now this is the 1868 map of Hadlime or Lyme, Connecticut, the Haddam district. And that house says C.H. Beckwith. Now I've lived there for over 40 years. And they still say, oh, you live in the Beckwith house. But there it is, right at the intersection of Walk and Don't Walk. No, it's right at the intersection of two streets, and you can see where the house is the little dot. This is the house, which is the little dot in the front of the two streets that come down. So I'm going to show it to you from here, looking at that dot, which gives you an orientation. Now there's my old 1780 house. And you go up the left-hand street into the driveway, and you drive in, and then you have to get by the electric gate, so I got to know you're coming. And once you get by the gate, you get into what we call the inner compound. Now that inner compound is basically three buildings. There's the house, there's the library, and there's my indoor gymnasium with my indoor swimming pool, and this is the outdoor swimming pool. So we're going to concentrate more on, since this is not a travelogue, on the library and the attic. Now, the library, which we're going to show you, I hope I spelled it right, looks like that. There is a daguerreotype camera on a tripod in the window, and as you look through, you see a reading table and some books in the back. We look and we see that there is a chandelier above the reading table, and then on top of all the books stacks are lenses. So we can see now we're getting a little closer, we can see the lenses on top, we can see the books, and by the way, these are full runs of the British Journal starting in 1853. There's full runs of the Philadelphia Photographer, full runs of the American Photography. There are thousands and thousands of full-run books. It's one of the largest libraries of Photographica in the United States, and many people come here because they want to do research for the book they're writing. So a lot of books, people who write books, the serious people, come to the house to do their work in that room. That's a close-up showing you from some of the runs and getting a little closer at some of the lenses. This gives you an idea. This is a complete run of books of the California Gold Rush, early books of the California Gold Rush. And it just keeps on going on. Now we're going to look the whole run, or the panorama, of looking down the room. And we're going to take a look at the far end. And we're going to go over and see that on every wall there's something, lithographs by Currier and Ives, lithographs by Currier, original art, original art. These are California items, each one of them. Not one of a kind, but very, very hard to come by. This is a painting of Telegraph Hill, 1849, the 1851 lithograph of California right there. Keeping on going, I have artifacts in that room that concern the Gold Rush, because the Gold Rush is very heavily tied in to my Gold Rush photography. So not only do I have Gold Rush photographs, but I also have items like the Gold Rush knife and this is a compass that a man used to go over there. And this is the scales, and this is the songbook that they sang with at night. So, and on the wall, of course, again, right above that case, is a wonderful chromolithograph of Henry Clay, one of my favorites, addressing the Senate of the United States. Now, let's see if we can go on from there. Then on the opposite wall to that, again, more lithographs that are very rare concerning the Gold Rush. More. But with that, I've shown you enough of my Gold Rush, and I'll now show you a camera. Now, this is the original Kodak display. The original Kodak outfit of 1888. The camera was really started amateur photography for the masses. You press the button, we do the rest. Meant exactly what it said. Expose 100 shots. Replace the camera in the case. Place the case in the box, and return to Kodak. You get a reloaded camera ready to take 100 more exposures, plus 100 developed and mounted photographs. So, let's see. There is the original Kodak. There is the shipping box with its label. There is the camera leather carrying case with its shoulder strap. This is the original Kodak round picture photograph, and it is a photograph of a woman carrying that camera. There is the very first announcement in the 1888 Photographic Times of that camera. And there is the 1988 coin medal commemorating the 100th anniversary of the camera. I did leave out the fact that the little plug for the front of the camera is there. And so that's a little mini Kodak display. This is the Kodak Extra. Now, I came by this outfit very peculiarly because when I collected black and white cameras, I hear people used to say, "Do you have a Kodak Extra?" And they say, "Yes." They say, "Do you have the 153 lens, which is this one here?" They say, "No, I've got everything but the 153 lens. I've got the 135, I got the 90, I got the 50, I got the 35." But nobody seemed to have the 153. So what I did was, first I bought the 153 lens. Once I had that, then I went out and I bought the rest of the outfit. So that nobody could say to me, "Do you have the outfit? Do you have the 153? Now, this is the beginning of what I call my library in the den. It's research books that sit next to me, because that's where I sit and do my work. Right there. This is part of a double, what do they call it? A lady. And Elizabeth sits over here, and I sit here, and we have dueling computers where she does her research and then I do my creativity. So, if we go on here. Looking at the other wall, again, more books. And now this is in the third garage. I have another building where I keep thousands of books, all on photography, by the way. These are all the runs of photography, but this is late 19th century and 20th century, where the previous room you saw was mostly early 19th and mid-19th century. So, but you can see the whole run of the wall, and then you get down here and you realize that there's more books over here, camera craft, and it keeps going over to the right, so that eventually, even over here, there's more, there's your camera craft, and it just keeps going on. There's 3 more of those, but I didn't bother photographing. But these are all the runs of the British are in the living room. We're now ready to talk about, do you people think I have enough books?
Sure.
The living room. Okay, this is my living room. Now we're looking at a couple of items. The one on the left is the only painting. It's a painting by Galen Perret. It's the only impressionist painting made. It's made and was sold at the Salmagundi Club in New York in 1912. And it's of a young lady looking at a daguerreotype with the light coming in behind her in the window. And there's the daguerreotype in the hand. So when you look at it up close, you realize what you're looking at. It took me many years to buy signs. These are 3 legitimate signs. One was in the Midwest. This was from Vance's Ambrotype Gallery in Sacramento. And this was from a Daguerrean gallery up in New Hampshire. And those are 3 outdoor signs, actual Daguerrean original signs. So we've looked at that corner of the room, and now we're going to come over here and look at this. We're looking at a painting. That painting is an oil portrait of Nancy Niles Southworth Hawes. Now, if you look over here, you'll see that's a daguerreotype of Nancy Niles Southworth Hawes standing next to her portrait. This circa 1848 daguerreotype may be the earliest attempt to compare art versus photography through the device of the image itself. We look at it a little closer. Now we say this is the way it looked that Hawes saw the scene before it was reversed on the daguerreotype plate. So I reversed it to real life, because all these daguerreotypes, unless they had a reversing prism, are backwards, particularly the portraits. And I'm going to take that piece and I'm going to lift it out of the daguerreotype and drop it as if it was a mammoth portrait daguerreotype and drop it into the frame in which the painting is. Now, why am I doing that? I'm doing that to show you the comparison between a daguerreotype and the painting. And I'm going to come back to the original painting. So,
Matt,
yes.
could you speak a little louder?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
So, Bob, we are going upstairs. And the stairway, does this work?
No.
Yes
or no?
Yeah, if you can turn that on, I'll play with that and see if we can make that work. The stairway, the hall, and the blue room. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Okay.